show, faithfully bringing value and uncovering the best books from around the world. Hi, this is Sally with the Book Talk. Today, I'm going to break down the book Step by Step Guide to Stand-Up Comedy.
Stand up comedy is when a comedian performs solo, cracking jokes to get laughs.
It's so much fun. Whether on stage or in daily life, dropping a funny joke can instantly win people over. You know, some folks think humor is a talent. Not everyone's good at telling jokes. But hey, humor actually has rules and formulas you can practice. So, this book, Step by Step Guide to Stand-Up Comedy, is a global classic that teaches joke writing and comedy performance. Master it, and anyone can find their funny side. The author Greg Dean is a big name in U.S. comedy. His teaching methods are famous worldwide, launching many stars' careers. He's hailed as the teacher of stand-up teachers. This comedy master might be less familiar to Chinese readers, but you'll recognize the translators. They're from the hit show Roast.
Roast.
Back in 2011, these post-80 writers, Cheng Lu, Fang Liwen, Liang Haiyuan, were just amateurs in stand-up. As amateurs wanting to learn, they had no local guides, so they turned to the US and found this gem, step-by-step guide to stand-up comedy. In 2014, they translated it, but it only hit shelves in China in 2018 when stand-up blew up. This book kicks off with basic joke writing, guiding you step by step to craft jokes and build routines. Covering everything from rehearsing to performing, mic handling to stage time, it breaks down every part of stand-up, truly a hands-on starter guide. All right, let's dive into stand-up. From writing and performing angles, revealing what makes jokes tick. First up, writing a joke. Whether it's a quick quip, a 10-minute set, or a sketch, they all boil down to the same thing. The author says, every joke has a core structure with 3 key parts: setup, punchline, and connection point. Let's take Zhao Benshan and Song Dandan's classic, Yesterday, Today, Tomorrow, to show how these parts work. Oh, the first element is setup. It prepares for the joke. Its most important function is to create expectations for the audience. A joke to be funny, it's got to surprise people. And for surprise, you need an expectation first. For example, in the skit, Haitu praised Kui Youngyan's hosting by saying, "Your show, the whole village loves watching it."
They all say your hosting has unique features, like when you smile, it looks like crying. That's the joke.
The first half, saying, hosting is good, the whole village loves watching it, has unique features, is the setup. It creates a positive expectation for us. Under this expectation, when the audience hears that what Heitu meant by unique features is actually Kuiyonyon looking unattractive, it creates a huge contrast for comedy. And without the earlier praise, if you just say someone looks bad outright, the contrast effect would be way weaker. You might wonder, some one-liners don't have setup. Why are they still funny? Yeah, there's a big category of jokes without formal setup. But note, setup is just a form. Its core job is to create expectations. Some jokes skip setup because the expectation is already in the audience's heads. For example, in the skit, a line went, "Back then, there was a crime called digging at the cornerstone of socialism, but they charged me with plucking the roll of socialism." As soon as it was said, the audience roared with laughter. This joke has no formal setup and no semantic twist. So why is it funny? Because digging at the cornerstone of socialism has strong historical context. It's a unique memory for Chinese who lived through last century. When digging at the cornerstone clashes with plucking the wool, no setup needed. It sparks surprise from our shared history. If it were a foreigner who doesn't know this history, they probably wouldn't laugh. Lots of jokes rely on social norms, cultural customs, and stereotypes most folks accept. For instance, folks in southern and northern China might find different things funny. There's a joke in the book. A stand-up comedian says gloomily, "My wife ran off with my best friend." Oh my, I really miss that guy. This joke is a hit in the US, but we might not laugh as hard. Oh, men and women might react differently to this joke. Same as regular stand-up viewers versus casual ones. Once you realize people form these conventional expectations and assumptions, you can use them to create jokes. Remember, setup is just the form. Creating expectations is what really counts. Now that we've covered setup, the second element of jokes is easy to understand. Earlier we said, setup creates expectations. Well, the punchline's job is to reveal the unexpected, creating a sudden twist. Its core is offering a completely different take on the same thing, making the audience realize their expectation was wrong. Like, for example, Bayun mocked Heitu for having nothing at home, and Heitu said, "Don't talk nonsense." Didn't we have one household appliance back then?
A flashlight?
This joke offers a totally different interpretation of the setup. It redefines household appliance from big-ticket items to anything electric, shattering expectations with a cheap flashlight as the punchline. With setup and punchline in place, we need to connect them. That's where the third element comes in. The connection point is something that allows two different interpretations. Take Xiao Ben Shan and Song Dandan's classic line, for example. Song Dandan says, "When I was young, not bragging willow leaf brows, cherry lips, everyone loved looking at me. Our neighbor Wu Lauer trembled all over just from glancing at me." Zhao Benshan retorts, "Cut it out. Wu Lauer had cerebral thrombosis. He trembles at everyone." Here, trembled all over is a classic connection point. It allows two interpretations, trembling from seeing a beauty or shaking due to illness. Another example is sending autumn waves, a phrase we all know, also a classic connection point. Its original meaning is romantic eye contact, but in the skit it's interpreted as autumn spinach. The connection point is the core of a joke. Find a connection point, allowing different interpretations, and you'll create endless jokes. All right, we've now mastered the three essentials: setup, punchline, and connection point. Knowing this structure, we can craft jokes. But where do we find topics? And where do we start writing? Oh, the author gives us a tool called the joke map. It guides you to find perfect joke material. Open it up. The author highlights two key clues. First, strongly suggest creating from your own life. Beginners often make this mistake, writing what they guess the audience might find funny. The author believes you should never try this approach. Whether the audience agrees with your view isn't important. What really matters is whether they understand you. Only by writing topics you care about will you find inspiration and develop a vivid, unique voice. The second clue: don't seek punchlines in happy things. Look for them in painful ones. There's a mean saying, "Share your unhappiness to cheer everyone up." This actually reveals comedy's truth. Humor hides in pain. Most jokes involve negative elements, like mistakes, conflicts, embarrassment, all tied to suffering. Chaplin famously said, "Comedy is a collision of opposites. Show through setup and punchline, either good to bad or bad to worse." In short, your jokes should always head toward the negative. The author says comedy often gets happier the more it descends. If this feels uncomfortable, learn to embrace it. Now that we've got joke writing basics down, but it's not enough. To go from funny to hilarious, the author shares more tips. First tip: brevity. It means two things: keeping the length short. Shakespeare said, "Brevity is the soul of wit. Redundancy is humor's worst enemy." Comedy has an energy conservation law. If audiences think too hard, they laugh less. So make your point instantly clear. The other meaning: streamline the punchline. Every joke has a crucial word or phrase. That's what triggers laughter. We call it the core of the punchline. Place it at the very end. Never add fluff afterward. Like this joke: "Don't call me a caring guy. Fine, call me a player. But don't call me floor heating just 'cause I'm short." Oh, am I really that short? That last line, "am I really that short?" is just filler. Floor heating was already the joke's core. Adding anything after weakens its impact. Some comedians misplace the core. The audience bursts out laughing at the punchline, but their setup isn't finished, forcing them to shout over laughter. The second tip: make characters and jokes specific and personal. This dramatically boosts effectiveness. Set characters as your friends, relatives, or public figures. not some vague person. Fans of Guo Degang's crosstalk know he loves teasing Yukian's family. Guo once said over half his comedic success is thanks to Yukian's dad and wife. For audiences, jokes about specific people feel more real and less absurd. Beyond people, adding local landmarks, parks, or restaurants also sparks stronger reactions. For example, in a restaurant joke, say, that famous Qingfeng steamed bun shop outside the theater, instead of some restaurant. When audiences hear familiar things become material, they respond with unexpected enthusiasm. You can even tease celebrities. Like this joke. Tycoon Rockefeller checks into a hotel demanding the cheapest room. The owner asks, your son always books the priciest suite. Why get the cheap one? Rockefeller sighs. He's got a rich dad. Me? I don't. Third tip, add consecutive punchlines. It's essential for huge laughs.
If you only do setup plus one punchline, over 95% of stage time is unfunny setup.
But if every setup has multiple punchlines, laughs multiply, like one investment paying multiple returns. This requires masterful interpretation of setups. For example, Gua Dagan jokes. Fans love teacher Yukian. We've partnered 10 years. A single thread can't make a cord. A lone tree can't make a forest. Without him, could I be here today? Oh, I'd like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank my wife. Yu Quan protested, am I included in this or not? Gu Degang shot back, if it weren't for you, I'd have been famous years ago. This joke delivers two punchlines that both subvert expectations. The setup about thanking Yu Qian, building him up only to thank his wife instead, broke the first expectation. Then it dismissed Yu Qian entirely, denying his contribution while descending further into negativity. This format uses two punchlines to shatter the same expectation. You could also treat the first punchline as new setup for additional jokes. This demands advanced writing skills. All right, that covers joke creation for now. Next comes bringing it to life through performance. Many think comedians just memorize jokes and recite them, but it's way more complex. The same joke can get roaring applause or dead silence. Stage presence often outweighs the material itself. Let's dive into performance techniques.
First essential, rehearsal. Never skip this step.
How you rehearse is exactly how you'll perform. Beginners often pace, stare at the floor, or mentally scramble for lines during rehearsal, and those habits will repeat on stage. Some rehearse in completely wrong contexts, like muttering lines in bed, which kills stage presence. The author calls this milkman syndrome. This concept came from a student of his. Though naturally funny, he'd blank during performances. When asked about his rehearsal method, he revealed, I'm a milkman. I rehearse while driving my delivery truck. The solution? Have him sit on stage with feet on a desk, mimicking his truck posture. Though awkward when he struck that familiar pose, he delivered flawlessly, to everyone's amazement.
Performance mirrors your rehearsal state, so rehearse properly.
Oh, the author also strongly advises finding something to mimic a microphone so that when you're formally performing, holding a mic feels totally natural. Otherwise, when you go on stage, suddenly having something in your hand will definitely distract your performance. Once rehearsal's done, we finally get to perform on stage.
First, clarify the core. Your only job on stage is to be funny. You gotta unleash creativity, dare to take risks, and fully commit to making the audience laugh by any means.
Now, I'll share some stage experience secrets with you. They not only boost your comedic power, but also save you when there's dead air. First is the opening line. You definitely don't want to start with cliches. Like when 9 out of 10 actors say, "Hi, how are you all tonight?" The audience probably wants to scream, "We're all fine."
Please, stop asking us.
The audience is here for the show, not to be forced to applaud. You must design a strong opening. If you make a laugh right from the start, it'll relax you big time. For example, one stand-up comedian opened not by greeting the audience, but by teasing them. He said, "If I'm not mistaken, you folks sitting here are the audience, right? Did y'all come empty-handed?" That really ticks me off. When you see monkeys, you throw bread, you come to see me bring in nothing. Such an opening is refreshing and instantly fires up the room. A good opening also sets the tone for your performance and can even flip a passive situation. For instance, the author had a shy student with a speech impediment. He lisped. The author felt he needed to address this, ideally through a joke. So the student crafted this opener. My teacher said I have a speech impediment, but that might be his hearing problem. Hilarious. It instantly turned his unclear speech into an advantage, roasted the teacher, and later the lisp even became his comedic trademark. With a solid opening, we also need smooth transitions to connect jokes and introduce new topics. But beware, using questions for transitions wastes precious stage time. It's the worst approach. Many stand-up comedians do exactly that, but the author pleads, let's not carry on this stand-up tradition. Oh, the author once saw a performance where the comedian asked the audience, how many of you have phobias? One woman enthusiastically responded, I'm terrified of spiders. But the comedian didn't actually want responses. He just wanted to introduce his topic. He completely ignored her answer and said, great, I'm afraid of heights. Then launched into his fear of heights routine. The audience booed him, asking questions but ignoring responses is awkward whether answered or not. Another time in a bar, the author saw a comedian ask, how many of you went to college? The bar was full of tattooed, chain-smoking bikers. Their icy stares screamed, college? I barely finished junior high. Creating total awkwardness, the comedian had to plow through. The author advises, if you interact, engage comically with every response. Otherwise, just state your topic directly. For example, I want to talk about the post office, but I don't want to get angry, though I probably will. This smoothly introduces the topic. Okay, now we've successfully introduced a topic and landed a big laugh. What next? The author warns. Comedians often get overexcited during laughter, but you should shut up and let them laugh, because if you speak while they're laughing, they'll stop to listen. The author once saw a comic constantly interrupt laughs, training the audience not to laugh anymore. Pause until laughter fades, or hold a funny pose. Just stay silent. Advanced move. Let the laughter inspire improv. Creatively harnessing audience laughter can elevate your performance. Say you tell this joke, I've had a relationship for 2 years. Just me. If someone laughs loudly, improvise, you've had that relationship too, huh? Or sarcastically, thanks for building joy on my pain. Oh, for a beginner, it's rare to make the audience laugh so much you have to stop. You might face real trouble, like dead air. It's absolutely a stand-up comedian's worst nightmare. But hey, it's a necessary part of doing stand-up comedy. Once a student had dead air for a full 5 minutes during a show. The author asked him, do you realize no one's laughing at all? The student said, yeah, I know, but I don't want it to affect me. But the author said, that thinking's wrong. You should let it affect you. You gotta try something. Otherwise, the audience will think, oh my God, does this guy not realize he's not funny at all? Well, if it goes on too long, they'll stop trusting the comedian because clearly he doesn't care about the dead air. If a joke bombs, you've got to try something else. For example, you could tease the audience about it. They might think, even if you're not hilarious, you trying is kind of fun. Be honest about your flaws. The audience will likely cheer you on. The more open you are, the more you win them over. Like one of the author's students who not only had dead air but also forgot his lines on stage. Luckily, he remembered to stay funny. He kept joking about forgetting his lines and got steady laughs. He got through the show gracefully by staying humorous. A better way to handle dead air is to prepare rescue jokes. The author loves a rescue bit like this. My stand-up is called Invisible Comedy. The punchlines either vanish or arrive like they never came. When the comedian noticed the audience's silence, he joked about the quiet itself, easing the awkwardness nicely. Another scene just as scary as dead air is heckling. Dealing with hecklers takes lots of stage experience. The core, as we keep saying, is to stay funny. No matter how nasty the heckler's chants are, you gotta keep the vibe humorous. If you get sarcastic and try to retaliate, the audience will side with the heckler or even ruin your show. Once, during a stand-up show, the author faced malicious hecklers. A few women nearby kept making personal attacks. So the author couldn't help but snap back with some sharp words, and the women shut up. Oh, but the whole audience went silent too, because only the author heard what those women said. And all the audience saw was him attacking her viciously for no reason. A pro stand-up comic's gotta learn to fight back with humor. You could say, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you heckling me. Another tip, never invite a heckler on stage. Once, the author got so annoyed by a heckler that he snapped, "You talk big, come up here." And shockingly, the guy did. He got pushed aside and cracked a super funny joke. Shame, perfect word for it, huh? The author was so desperate he quit stand-up for 6 months. Gotta remember, your stage is yours, don't hand it over, 'cause the next guy might be a hidden talent. Okay, we just covered openings, transitions, big laughs, dead air, and heckling, how to handle them. All this boils down to one thing, stage rhythm. It runs through the whole show and is key to being funny. We hear good rhythm a lot, but what is it really? It's too vague. The author shares a personal story. Years ago, as an American learning African dance, the wave-like moves, unique beats, and improv steps had him totally lost. So he asked the teacher, who said, "Don't watch the leader, become the drum." He tried feeling the drum in his chest. Once he got the beat inside, he nailed those unfamiliar African moves. Months later, he was dancing well, then decided to learn drums way harder. African drums switch rhythms out of nowhere. This time, he lost the beat again, so back to the teacher. How do I drum well? The teacher said, don't listen to the drums, follow the leader. He was stunned. Dance? Don't watch the leader, be the drum. Drum? Don't listen, follow the leader. If the drummer follows the dancer, and the dancer follows the drummer, who's controlling the beat? The teacher laughed. Exactly right. Turns out, no one's ever in control of the rhythm. Oh, the drummer and lead dancer form a loop of mutual influence. Stand-up rhythm is like dance and drumming. The audience follows the performer, and the performer follows the audience. Performers don't inherently have rhythm. They create it based on audience reactions. You can't preset it. It only happens in the moment. Proving a key principle. If you only focus on rehearsed material on stage, your rhythm comes from repetition, not the present moment. Right now, your impact on the audience, and theirs on you. Every show's rhythm is unique. Since every audience differs, learning to dance with them gives you the best rhythm. That covers the book's main ideas. They say all great comedy has a tragic core. Stand-up means daring to shed pride, facing life's errors and misfortunes with self-mockery. Life itself is a stage. We all face dead air, heckling, awkwardness. Using humor is a wise approach to adversity. As the author says, there's always a way to make people laugh, no matter what. All right, step-by-step guide to stand-up comedy. That wraps up our breakdown for you. Reading notes are below the audio. See you next time.